Okay, we're good to go. Hello, video 60, different setting. We're on the sofa as opposed to in the office. Yeah, I just wanted to do this video because it's one of those small milestones in some ways. Very happy and excited to say I've done 60 of these videos now, and I think this is interesting to me in the way of, by the way, of just trying something different out. It's the same thing. I'm just sitting on the sofa instead of on a chair, basically. So, anyway, um, why am I doing this at this time of day? A couple of reasons. So first of all, it's a good example of where, well, I actually just wanted to share an aspect of my life slash being a business owner that I think important to share, which is 8 o'clock on a Thursday evening, sitting here pretty tired. I have a few times recently at this time of night been putting pressure on myself to do work. The laptop's sitting, open, but am I going to do anything meaningful? Probably not. So I'm trying to get better at just drawing the line for myself there and saying, look, probably better just not doing anything right now. But it's not so easy. There's just a backlog of, it's not the priority stuff. So I suppose in the context of a must do, should do, could do, this is stuff that should be done. But I got all the important things done earlier. So yeah, I think I've talked a lot about, well, not a lot, but I've mentioned in the past where pressure comes from for me. And for most people, it comes from yourself. But in my case, I have a tendency to put pressure on myself unnecessarily at times like this where it's actually time I should be doing the complete opposite. So, for example, if I'm sitting not doing very much at like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, that's the time to put a bit of maybe pressure, so to speak, on myself to get something done. 8 p.m. on a Thursday after an early start with a child and a long day of work done is not the time to be now deciding to put pressure on yourself. I don't think anyway. So I'm gonna watch some TV for an hour or two and then probably go to bed. But I think it's a good example of again where if I was a full-time employee in a business, well, I'm a full-time employee here, flex ops, I guess, but if it wasn't my business, would I be so worried about doing these things? Maybe, maybe not. I guess it depends. Um, and again, there's just little bits and pieces like I have to do something for my accountant. If I leave that to tomorrow, it can tend to get in the way of actual, like the priority work, so to speak. So it's things like that I like to just try and get done at this time of night, but it doesn't always happen. So anyhow, what else? Or reflections on the day. There wasn't too much today, to be honest. I think I don't want to over analyze this, but I've had a fairly emotionally draining week when it comes to business, if that's a thing. A couple of big wins and really promising conversations, and there's been a couple of things that have been, yeah, frankly, quite draining, or I wouldn't say frustrating, but challenging. Um, and yeah, you just get towards the week or the end of the week, I guess, when that's happening in your business, and you can't help but feel a bit more drained. Um, so what do you do? Well, I don't know. I mean, in my case, I like to keep things pretty simple the next day if I can. So tomorrow will be pretty straightforward in terms of what I need to do. I just need to write some content basically for LinkedIn. Got a couple of calls in the morning. And yeah, once that's done, that's pretty much it. So there won't be too much else happening tomorrow. It'll be a pretty straightforward day. And if I can finish up early, I will. And as I alluded to, I'm off next week for the bulk of the week. So I don't anticipate there being a video again for a while, truthfully. I think this is probably the last one for at least about a week and a half. So that's another reason I wanted to do this one. But yeah, I was definitely thinking, I saw someone doing a very similar thing to what I'm doing now, which is a kind of end of day, like end of the actual day recap on their life as a business owner. And they take a much broader, like they're bringing their family into the camera and things like that, and it's not for me, but I think they do it in an interesting way because it really gives you a look at everything surrounding their life that maybe affects or contributes towards how they run their business. And although I speak about that, I think, for my videos, you probably only get a look at me when I'm operating the company or when I'm in the midst of doing things, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think the feedback I'm getting from people is that it's still quite interesting. But yeah, anyhow, that's a general update and things, I guess. Nothing really specific today in terms of interesting things from the agency side. The only thing that came up today, which I thought was quite interesting, was on a call. I was speaking to someone who's running their own business, and they were kind of to and froing about maybe pulling the plug on it. So they've been running their own company now for a few years, and they were saying, look, not really sure if they're going to be able to keep going. It's stagnated for the last year. They never really got it to a point that they were tremendously happy with it, and they can't really see a path to changing in the next 6 to 12 months. So it's a case of, well, they grit their teeth and accept that maybe it's just, the growth is coming, or is it a case that, it's just not quite the right type of business. So anyway, that was interesting. It made me think back to, I can see how they feel about it. I can understand why it feels that way. But equally, it's not a dissimilar feeling to one that you might get when you first start a business. You have that apprehension or fear about doing it because, basically, is it going to be worth it? And I remember speaking to someone else not that long ago. They were trying to decide they were deciding if they're going to set up their own company. And one of their options was to go full time in a different role. And for me, there was a bit of a flashback to around this time last year, really, a few months before, I guess, where had already decided to leave the agency, and I was weighing up what would be next. And I just always think back to something someone said to me, which was just don't jump at the first thing. Or if you're in your business and you think it's not working out, don't jump at the next thing straight away. Which I think is great advice because, again, in the case of the business not doing so well, or in the case of you trying to figure out whether you want to start a business, there will always be options, there will always be other things. And I think sometimes you just have to sit on a couple of options and see what makes the most sense for you. I respect that that's kind of a privileged thing to be able to do because some people just simply need to make income, which, well, pretty much all of us do. So, anyway, very rambly. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'll be really honest as well. I think the topics that I bring up in these videos have probably cooled off a bit because I'm talking a lot about that stuff already on LinkedIn now. And for some reason, I don't really, it's not that I don't like speaking about the LinkedIn posts again on a YouTube video. I just don't think it's that helpful or interesting to anyone. So these have become very much just my thoughts, which I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's thoughts of a business owner, and I think that for a lot of people is probably interesting in itself. But yeah, I'm not sure what direction this is going to go. I literally gave someone advice today in a similar way, saying that they'd probably be better just focusing in on one thing, in terms of their marketing and how they're, I suppose, promoting themselves. But maybe I should take that advice. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I'm pretty pretty sleepy and I don't have much else to say. But that was video number 60. I think that's again very much goes down as a very general life update. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the living room setting with the kitchen and all the dishes done in the background. So that's a real life moment. Anyway, see you soon, probably in a few weeks.